G'day everyone, Mitch here again, and welcome back to your favourite Model T Ford channel. Now, I do apologise for my appearance. It is stinking hot in this shed while I'm recording this video, but it is what it is. No air conditioning in here. I've got the door open to try and let some fresh air in, but as I say, it is what it is. It's very hot in here, so bear with me. So I figured it was time I did another Model T related video, seeing as the last one was an unboxing of a pair of boots. Some people didn't really like that idea, so I apologise for that, and today we are resuming normal service with Model T videos. So in this video, what I thought we'd do, the new coil boxes which I bought a few weeks ago and did an unboxing video of that. If you haven't seen that video, I'll pop a link in the description for that so you can see that one. So I went ahead and bought some brand new trembler coils for the Model T, set of 4, and I also bought a new timer. Or other timer cover, because the old one, although it wasn't actually very old, I'd forgotten to keep up with the lubrication on it and worn it out in quite a short space of time. So big mistake on my part. Not to worry, I'll put a new one in. What we'll do is we'll make sure we actually put the appropriate lubrication in at this time, and enough of it so that it doesn't wear out on us. Okay, all that said, let's get into the video. Okay, we'll get the parts organised, and then we'll get them fitted. That should be quite straightforward. Okay, let's get these coils. 4 new ones. Okay, so I'll try and keep this video as real time as possible. Wonder if that makes any difference. Probably not, but there we go. Alright, so what we'll do first, we'll take the cover off the coil box in here, is a little bit on the tight side, but we'll see what we can do here. Okay. Now the coils that are in here, they're actually not very old, but none the more for that. We'll take them out and we'll keep them as spares. Now the reason I've got yet more new coils is so that I can hopefully keep these old, when I say old, when I can keep these plastic ones as spares. Being a little bit of a purist, as I'm sure you know by now, I like to keep things as original or as close to original as possible in my Model T. I don't like doing what some people do and trying to modernise their Model T. Now, here's the big question. Shall I assume that these coils have been factory set and that they're going to be correct out of the box? Or shall I chuck them on the tester first and see how they go? You know what? I think we should put these on the tester first and make sure that they are putting out the correct 1.3 or so amps. So I think we'll do that first. We'll crank up the coil tester. Okay, now I'm pretty sure I have done a coil testing video on this channel before, but just in case you missed it, good time for a little refresher, I think. So basically what I've got here is a standard, or I should say modern reproduction, if you will, coil box tester. So basically here we have our standard Model T Ford coil. That simply sits in here and lines up with the contacts in the tester. And I've got this cable here, which I'll show you. Runs up here and connects directly to the Model T battery, taking care, of course, to make sure we get the polarity of positive and negative correct. Okay, so what we're looking for is around 1.3 amps on the gauge here on the display. So we've got we've got the coil in there nice and firmly, got the battery connected, taking care not to touch these contacts just here for testing a spark plug. We don't want to be touching that, otherwise it'll be very uncomfortable. So my coil box tester is a little bit on the loose side, so I do actually have to hold the coil in place. I've got to get around to putting new rubbers in here to hold it in place, but for now I'll just hold on to it. Now we just go switch it on. Try and get the contact nice. And that's giving us a reading of 1.4 amps. I am not going to complain at that. So now we just go ahead and we do the same, repeat the same process for all 4 coils. So here's the next one. Try and get a good contact on it. Oop, what's going on here? This one's giving us a dead short. What's happening there? Oh, I see. The top's been damaged. Right. So I'll show you what's happened here. Don't know how it's happened in transit somehow, but if you look at the brass plate on top on this one, it's been bent. So I need to straighten that one out. So I'll put that one to one side. I need to fix that. Looks like it's just gotten damaged in transit, but that's okay. We can fix that. Okay, let's test the next one. Get the coil in there nicely would help. There we go. Beautiful, 1.4 amps on the button. Very nice. Okay, one more here. Only 0.8 on that one, so that one needs a bit of adjustment. Okay, so I will go ahead and do some adjustments. Okay, so I've gone ahead and fixed these troublesome coils, or the two of them rather. And what had actually happened, as you saw, was that the plate across the top here had actually gotten bent in transit somehow. Something had fallen on it or something, I don't know. Anyway, I've managed to straighten them back out, so now you can see the coil can move freely. So if we pop those in now, try and get it in there nicely. About 1.4 amps, that's good. Just check the other one. 1.4 amps. Okay, so, and I know I've said in previous videos that 1.3 amps is sort of like the optimal sort of level for these, but I'm not going to quibble over 0.1 of an amp in difference. So let's go ahead and get these babies fitted and see if she runs nice. All right. So 4 nice new wooden coils. As I say, I'm a little bit of a purist, so I like to keep things as original as possible with my Model T. And these wooden ones are, oh, look at that, nice and snug. So they should have nice, good contacts. There you go, that's 2. And number 4 is sometimes a little bit tricky to get in, but we'll manage. There we go. Now, before I go putting the cover back on, we'll see about starting the engine now and see what happens. Okay, so I've already gone ahead and turned the fuel on. I've just to make things a little bit easier, I have jacked up one of Liz's back wheels. That old trick to make things a little bit easier. I really don't want to be cranking this thing for any longer than I have to, particularly given how hot it is in here. As you can see by the state of me, I'm very sweaty, so we have got the fuel on. Let's go ahead and get Liz started. So keys off, so we'll prime the engine first. Hasn't actually been started in a while, so this could be interesting. Anyway, let's go ahead and prime the engine. Okay, now the fun. All right, battery. Hopefully the battery has something in it. Yep, okay. Let's see how she goes. Now, of course, I haven't actually put the new timer in yet, so we are starting with new coils, old timer, so we'll see how that goes. Remembering to keep the thumb out of the way. Oh, look at that, first time. First time, that's impressive. It's amazing what a difference a new set of coils makes. So, I'm happy with that. A little bit of a little tiny bit of a misfire there, but that's because of the other timer that's quite worn. So what we'll do now, we'll shut it off. We'll shut the engine off now before it gets too warm and I can't touch anything. And we'll go ahead and we will take the, when I say old, the worn timer out, and we'll pop that new one in and see how that goes. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the camera trained on the engine. Now, I've tried to do the best I can to keep the engine bay well lit with my makeshift studio light. Anyway, what I'll do now, I'll grab some tools and we'll extract the the old timer. That sounds funny, doesn't it? So here's our new timer cover, which we'll be putting in soon. Okay, so on my Model T, because I actually lost the pin that holds the timer, holds this rod on that holds the timer in place. I lost the original pin, so I thought, well, what would Henry Ford do? So a piece of bent wire, and it's been my best friend for pretty much for the whole time I've had this Model T. Actually, I was so lazy in terms of not getting a replacement pin to put in that fitting, and it was something that it just got forgotten about over and over and over again. And so I'm pleased to be able to say that yeah, that piece of wire is that piece of wire has held me in good stead all this time. So really good, actually. Now, out come the original Ford wrenches, because of course, as we know, we use that to undo. If I can get it on there, the fan's in the way. We use that to undo the bolt that holds the timer in place. It's amazing. One bolt had so many functions on a Model T. You could undo your cylinder head bolts. You could do your actually not on this one, not the manifold ones, but certainly these, and your spark plugs. So yeah, everything had its purpose on a Model T, which is really fantastic. All right, so we'll just loosen this bolt right off, flip the arm out the way. And don't worry if you can't see in detail what I'm doing. If you go back through my YouTube channel, I've actually done a detailed video on how to actually swap out your timer cover on a Model T. So I don't know if you can quite see it on this video, but there is quite a lot of wear on this timer cover. And looking at it, nowhere near enough lubrication. So that is a big stuff up on my part. So, but you know, it's one of those things. You know, how many of us realistically remember to check the oil even in our modern cars? I know I do check the oil in mine, but that's I'm not everybody. All my tools stuffed into one little bag. Let me know in the comments if that sounds like you. I just have to have several of the same size bloody spanner. That is not helping. Okay. Alright, I am going to cheat on this occasion and use a pair of pliers. Mostly because these are not particularly tight anyway. Okay, so just in case you missed the previous video I did on how to change out your timer cover, the best way to do this is to undo the wires from the old one at a time, transfer each wire as you go to the same post on the new timer, and that way you won't get your wiring sequence mixed up. So, oops, I'll just try and grab a hold of this. That particular. Use my other pliers, these ones are a bit better. Because I can't find the bloody, there we go. I can't find my Imperial spanners anywhere. They seem to have gone missing on me, so I'm having to make do with a pair of pliers at the moment. I know that's not the correct tool for the job, but it's all I have to hand at this stage. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these on one by one. As I say, take each one off one by one and transfer them over to the same post on the new timer. That way you make sure that you get them in the correct sequence, because your Model T won't run if you mix up the firing order. Okay, so that's the first one on. And now rinse and repeat, basically. So here we go. Oh, next one's already loose. Okay, so I literally just realised after watching the playback that my arm was in the way of your view through most of that last segment, so I do apologise for that. I've now moved the camera so that you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the first two wires transferred across. Now we're going to move the next one, this one, over to this peg. So obviously we need to undo the nut. And again, I do apologise if my hand gets in the way at all. Now this one's not playing. Once again, I apologise for using completely the wrong tools for this job. Okay, so there's our new timer cover wired up. Now, again, I apologise for all the wires being all over the place, but at this stage I just want to test this and make sure it's actually going to function properly. So I'll go ahead and I'll tighten up all these nuts, and then we'll worry about the neatness of the wiring afterwards. So just bear with me while I pop the... Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself once again. We do need to replace the roller so that we can fit this nice new one. So what size? Oh, we need a different spanner to get in there. And once again, I'm going to cheat and use the good old adjustable. And try and adjust it so it actually goes on the nut. There we go. That should be loose enough to undo now. Now just remember, when you are changing the roller, there's a couple of components that you must remember to put back in. This little ring here must go in underneath the nut, otherwise things will very quickly turn nasty on you. Now, here we go, we'll just gently slide this out. Oh, I can see why it's not working either. Bear with me, I'll just get the... Got to pull the little pin out. This little fellow, which is held in by this ring, is what actually holds your roller in place. And if you look on the side of it, see this little cutout here? That's where this little pin goes, in the hole on the drive shaft of the timer. So what I'm also going to do now is show you why the old original timer mysteriously quit working. Oh dear. Well, that would explain it. This one has still got the spring on the back. This one doesn't. And you know, when I took the old one out, there was no sign of a spring anywhere. So that one is very mysterious. Oh well, is what it is. We'll go ahead and put the new roller in anyway. Well, at least I know why the old one quit working. The spring went kaput. Well, there you go. Didn't even notice that. Okay, let's go ahead and put the new roller in, taking care to make sure that this little cutout is facing the front of the engine. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to wind the engine over a bit so that I can actually see where that pin goes, because it's sort of invisible to the naked eye at the moment. Bumping the camera here while I'm going. There we go. All right, let's just wind the engine over until I can see the hole. There it is. Okay, new roller, as I say, make sure that this little cutout actually faces the front of the engine. So we pop that back on the shaft. And that little pin I told you about, the one I said do not lose, that goes through the little hole on the shaft. And I'll try and zoom in on that if I can. Now, once again, I apologise for the very poor quality of video here, but I'll try and use my finger as a pointer here somewhere if I can. That little tiny pin there, that's what holds your roller in place and stops it just spinning freely on the shaft. Alrighty, we'll zoom out and we will attempt to complete assembly here. So we've got the pin in. We now need to put this little collar back in that goes over the top of that pin, stops it coming out, and then we put the nut back on. And I'll just tighten that up. That does need to be tight. There we go, that's done up. All right. Make sure we've got spring on the roller there. The roller can rotate freely, yes. Okay. Now what we'll do, I still cannot believe the spring went on that. That's crazy. Anyway, We'll just go ahead and make sure that these are nice and tight, because the next thing we're going to do is pop the timer in, and as I said, we're going to give Liz a test start to make sure that she that one's on the wonk there. We're going to give her a test start to make sure that she runs nice and smooth with her new coils and new timer cover. And new roller, of course. We can't forget about the roller. The one with the mysterious problem with the spring. Okay, so what we need to do, pop the timer control through the hole. Come on, there we go. Put the timer control through the hole. So the advance and retard lever through the hole, I should say. And there we go. And we need to get these wires out of the way so that they don't collide with the fan belt. That would be not good at all. And put our piece of wire back through that holds the advance and retard control in place. Squeeze that bit of wire back in, that won't fall off. Make sure that these wires are well out of the way of the fan belt. That would not be good if they were touching that. We're good there. We'll sort out the messiness of the wiring in a moment. But first of all, let's move these tools off of here. And let's see if Liz is going to start for us. Okay, so now we've put the new timer in and the new roller. First thing we need to do is put a little bit of oil in the timer itself to make sure that it's lubricated. And that would be a great opportunity, if I can get it out, to use my, where are you? There we are. Be a great opportunity to use my genuine Ford oiling can, which at the moment it has something in it. It smells sort of like oil, but okay. I have a bit of oil here, so we'll pop some of that in. Okay. We'll pop the lid back on. See, this is what it's all about, using original tools. Oops, nope. If I do it up straight, it would actually help. Just talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Nice and straight. Okay, so now we can use this to oil the timer. Basically, there is a little opening. Actually, what I'll do, probably easiest if I show you on the old one. So what we actually have on top of the timer is a little cap. Don't know if you can just see that. Little cap that opens, which allows you to squirt oil directly into the timer using your oil can. So I'll go ahead and do that right now. We will, if I can see where the cap is. I better move my light. Not very organised today. taking care not to tip my oil can over. This really is a hands-on experience today, I reckon, because you can see everything unfold as it should. It's like, well, that was smart, Mitch. You've done really well. I can see exactly what I've done, but you know, these things happen. I've actually put the retaining bar halfway down the side of the timer. I'm wondering why it doesn't work properly, instead of into the little dimple that sits on top of the timer. Okay, now I can get to the oiling hole with my oil can. So we pop this upside down and hopefully some oil comes out. Now I don't know how much oil I put in there. We will find out. All right, the timer does move, that's a good sign. Make sure it's retarded for starting. Okay, let's see what we get. Come on, you started before. There we go. Okay, that seems to be sounding good to me. Engine is a bit cold, so well, I reckon we'll call that a success. Well, I don't know about you, but I reckon I'll call that a success. Pretty good. But now I must remember to make sure that I put oil in the timer. Make sure I keep that roller lubricated because that's what stops it wearing. So just before I sign off, I will show you the condition of the old one. Now we already know that the spring came off of the actual roller on the old one, so I'm amazed that Liz was actually running at all. It was sort of relying on centrifugal force to keep the roller in contact with the inside of the timer cover. So yeah, amazed that was even running at all initially. But I don't know if it comes out on camera, but you can actually see where the roller has worn on the inside of the timer cover here. This is actually the original one, funnily enough, that the car came with when I bought it. I've forgotten that actually, I believe I put it in another video. I'd actually machined the inside of this timer to get a bit more life out of it. And up until now, it's been working really well. I reckon I can still machine that a little bit more and get a bit more life out of it as a spare if I need to. But in the meantime, as I say, this one literally is a spare, but it's still serviceable, so we'll hang on to it. Side note: I never throw anything away with the Model T, even components which are basically stuffed and past the end of their life. I don't throw them away. I keep everything. Whew, it is hot in this shed. Okay. I think we've just about covered everything in this video, so if there's anything that you think that I've overlooked or missed, please put it in the comments, because I'm only human. I make mistakes, so I stuff things up occasionally, as you saw in this video. There's a couple of things that I overlooked and got slightly wrong when I was putting things back together. Probably in a bit of a rush, I suspect, but there we go. Anyway, it all came out good in the end. Got everything right. Got the new timer lubricated, importantly. Got the new coils in, and got Liz running exactly as she's supposed to, and just in time as well, because I actually, in the next couple of days, I have a run to up the road about 20 kilometres away to go and take some elderly people out for a ride in the Model T. So I'll try and do a video for that one if I can, but I'm only one man, I can only do so much. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, drop a comment below, and turn on notifications so that you can stay up to date with when I put new videos on YouTube. Okay, time to wrap up. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.